Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you all for joining us for a Cincinnati Public Schools Facebook Live. For today, we will check in on our Speak Up, Speak Out students during this Black History Month celebration. Speak Up, Speak Out was an initiative created the summer of 2020 to give our African American students an outlet and have their voices heard surrounding racial injustice and inequities. Last year, we hosted nearly 10 live sessions, including a virtual rally. There were many productive sessions with city leaders, city council members, DPD Police Chief Elliot Isaac, CPS staff, including superintendent, deputy superintendent, principals, counselors, social studies teachers, and members from the curriculum department. Our city leaders have been part of a great dialogue and have empowered and supported our future leaders on how to effectively create change. This led to the students making a list of demands for the district. One of those demands involved expanding the Speak Up, Speak Out initiative to be a group at each of our respective high schools. We have been meeting with advisors at each high school that have been working hard to implement these clubs and continue to amplify the voice of Black and Brown students in our district. I am Josh Harden, Cincinnati Public Schools Athletics Manager, as well as the Peer Leadership Collaborative Manager over Speak Up, Speak Out. Last year, during our live sessions, our collaborative partners Cohere did a phenomenal job in facilitating difficult conversation and helped advance this initiative. This year, we are very thankful to have them back. Nia Balke with Cohere led our live sessions last year, and we are grateful to have her back to lead the session this evening. I'd like to invite Nia Balke on to tell us a little bit about Cohere, their collaboration with Cincinnati Public Schools, and the impact of Speak Up and Speak Out. Nia?
Thanks, Josh, and hello, everyone. My name is Nia Balke, and I'm with Cohere. We partner very closely with Cincinnati Public Schools to facilitate meaningful conversations with both students and parents around issues that matter to them and impact them within the district. So Speak Up, Speak Out, I've been involved since the very beginning with Josh and these amazing students, and we've had an opportunity, as Josh has mentioned, to really discuss meaningful topics and that led to a wonderful development of the list of demands. I'm excited to facilitate today's conversation, and I know that we will have a wonderful conversation and learn from these amazing students as well as the advisors. So before I begin the facilitation, I want to introduce you all to former student that was a part of Speak Up, Speak Out last year, Rachel Scales. So I will pass things off to Rachel Scales to share with us a little bit more about Speak Up, Speak Out.
Hello. I was a student last year. I graduated in 2021. I am now an advisor at Riverview for the Speak Up, Speak Out group. It's a little more difficult being an advisor with the group because kids aren't always the easiest to get involved with being a part of groups and things. So that's been a little difficult, but it's been pretty smooth sailing other than that with like getting kids involved. The kids that I do have, they're really hardworking. Amaya does a really good job with helping and being a part of the group. I like being an advisor now. I like being an adult and being a part of Speak Up, Speak Out too.
Thank you, Rachel. And Rachel is being humble, but she was an amazing participant in Speak Up, Speak Out last year. So we're lucky to have her, and I know that we are glad to have her as an advisor. So I'll invite the students to come on if you guys want to share your screens, share your video with all of us so we can get the conversation going. Hello, hello. So as people are joining, I'll remind everyone that we're going to start with just a quick introduction. So you could share your name, where you attend school, what year you are, and then our check-in question for today is superpowers. If you could have any superpower, what would it be? and why. So I will just call on people to get the conversation started in the order that I see them. So Simone, if you'd like to start.
Hi, my name is Simone Simmons. I'm a senior at Walnut Hills High School, and if I had a superpower, it would probably be to travel to the future because I have like a lot of anxiety about like where I'm going to go to college or where my life out of high school. So I just want to see where I end up.
I love that. That's a good one. Thanks, Simone. Yorland?
Hello, everyone. I'm Keorlin Harrison. I'm a junior at Western Hills University High School. And if I had one superpower, it would probably be to be invisible. I don't know why. It would just be cool to just pop up and scare people, I guess. I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll unpack that another time, Keorlin. Thanks for joining. Amisha?
Hello, my name is Anisha and I'm a sophomore, and my power would be honestly what she said, go to the future, because I would like to see where I will stand for right now, and then so
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for joining. And then is it Peace on?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
It's actually Python, but it's pronounced Pasan, but it's sometimes hard for people at my school to say, so I just let them call me anything between P and Python. I represent high school with the high school university, and if I had a superpower, it'd probably be to transfer energy, because nowadays so many people are tight and up on edge, just want to pass out good vibes and good energy, so to make the community better and a lot of people more happy.
I love that. Thanks, Paisan. That's an awesome one. London?
Hi, I'm London Graham. I'm a junior at Gamble Montessori. My superpower would be invisibility. I just think that's cool. I don't really have a reason.
All right. Well, you and Kierlin can hang out and scare people, I guess. Surprise people. Thanks, London. Amaya?
my name is Amaya Stother, and I'm a junior at Riverview East Academy. My superpower would probably be flying because I don't really want to drive. I'm gonna be safer to fly.
All right. I like that. I like that. Thanks, Amaya. And then is it Dewan?
Dewan Ward. I'm a freshman at Woodward Career Technical High School. Kind of spelled my last name wrong. I was rushed to join the call, but if I had a superpower, my superpower would be maybe telekinesis. And the reason why is because if you think about it, if you're like focusing on something else, instead of having someone to do it for you, you can just do it yourself.
Interesting. Well, I like that. You guys all came up with really good ones. I'm impressed. I shouldn't be because you guys are great students, but thank you for checking in. Again, we're happy to have you and have this conversation, especially during Black History Month. It's been a little while since we've had a live student speak up, speak out session. I know Kierlin and Simone, you guys have done these a little bit last year, so happy to have you back. And to the rest of you, happy that you're here and willing to join us and do something new. So before we jump into the deeper questions, I would love to just open it up and start with the question of what does Black History Month mean to you? You know, personally, is it something that you get excited about? Is it something you look forward to? What does it mean to you as a young Black student? Simone?
I personally love Black History Month, but at the same time, it's kind of sad in a way that we only get to be celebrated like for 1 month by like the general public. I feel like within our race, it's always a constant celebration, but I feel like the outside world, we only get to be celebrated for 1 month. And on top of that, it's the shortest month in a year. So it's kind of sad, but I think it's also kind of a blessing at the same time. I think that it could be used as like a learning opportunity to learn all of the good things that our community has done, considering like in the media, we're always presented in such a negative light. So I feel like it's a good opportunity to learn about all of the great that we've done like as a people.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Simone, for sharing that. Anyone else just want to share? Paisan?
I feel like an important reason for Black History Month is our ancestors, and it really you can shine a light on our culture. Now, we'll have to agree with Simone. I hate that Black History Month is only 1 month when, for example, our Black inventors just didn't invent things during Black History Month. It was all throughout the year. So that's really my perspective on Black History Month.
Thanks, Paisan. Yeah, so I see a lot of head nods on that one. It's exciting, it's fun, but at the same time, wish that Black history and Black culture was celebrated a little bit more intentionally throughout the year. London, Amaya, Kiora, what's Black History Month mean to you?
Hey, Stuan. So to me, I think Black History Month is really basically like reflecting on how us Black people came so far, like all our everything that we did from back then to now, how we dealt with stuff like slavery and protests. So to me, put it simple, I think Black history is like a ooh man. Can I come back?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks for jumping in there, Dewan. So I think the idea of reflecting, being able to spend that time this month reflecting and thinking about, like you said, how far we've come. Definitely hear that, agree with that. Amaya?
I feel like it's good to support like the culture of African Americans, but I hate that like in school we usually only talk about slavery, and it's like that's not all Black history is. We are more than just slavery. It's stuff we invented and things we like came up with and we grew from.
Thanks for sharing that, Amaya. We'll definitely jump into that next for sure. So, anyone else? What does Black History Month mean to you?
I would agree with what everyone else said. It's like reflecting on where we came from as being Black people, and it just gives like the students an opportunity to do like research and just to like appreciate the fact that we have this month, and just to like expose us to different career paths and different opportunities that we did not have generations ago that we do have now.
Yeah. Thanks, Caroline. Anyone else?
I agree with everybody else because like they do only talk about slavery and not about things that Black people have accomplished throughout the years and stuff like that. So they need to base it on something else other than what we went through and how we got out of there and stuff like that. About we need to worry about the things that we accomplished throughout the years.
For sure. For sure. Thanks for
I'll
sharing
go.
that. Yeah, London.
Well, it's like a celebration and like to me it's like a personal strive of motivation, especially like while reading articles about the people that come before us. It's like truly inspiring and it's like make me feel capable. I don't know. I just look at it as a motivation.
I love that. Thanks, London. So I'm hearing from a lot of you guys it can be inspirational, it's exciting, there's a feeling of celebration. At the same time, kind of agreeing that maybe our schools could be doing more in talking about things outside of slavery, as well as just wishing that it expanded beyond the month of February. So let's get a little bit more into that. And I'm going to start with you, Amaya, since you were the one that initially brought it up. But, what is your school? You guys all attend different high schools. So what is your school doing for Black History Month? Is there anything that excites you that they're offering? Are they just talking about it in history class? What's going on at school?
Actually, because of Speak Up, we have African American class now as an elective to learn about the history of African Americans. But in English class, we have been watching like movies. We watched The Birth of a Nation, and so it was just watching about slavery and how the man he fought through slavery. And so yeah, that's all we have been doing. But in medical term, we have been learning like about medical African Americans that have worked, and so we learned a lot about that. We've been doing research and a lot of research on that.
And you feel like, what class is it where you watch Birth of a Nation? Was it history class, you said?
English.
English class. Okay. Is there something, because a lot of you guys mentioned, the idea of talking about more than slavery, is there something that you wish that you were talking about instead of, just focusing on slavery and civil rights movement?
I'm an athlete, so I would like to learn more about like African American athletes, especially like with I forgot what her name is, but she had long nails. She was an athlete, so I like to learn more. Yes, I like to learn more about stuff that like interests us about African Americans rather than just slavery.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Amaya. Anyone else want to share what's going on in your school? It sounds like at Riverview East, they have been able to implement something cool with the African American history elective. Kiorlin?
At my school, we've been doing the same thing as Amaya's school has been doing. In English class, we've been watching a lot of different movies. We've watched I'm Not Your Negro. We've watched The 13th. And also, I do the morning announcements at school, so I do Black History trivia questions and answers every morning. And also, my government teacher, we came up with like kind of like a routine on every Friday during Black History Month. We do basically like dress out day, and it's different themes. Last Friday was dress up as your favorite Black cartoon character, and this Friday is like dress up an African theme. So the students can come in and like wear dashikis or just for actual African cultures, they can just express their true identities in school.
Very cool. I love that. That sounds awesome. Paisan?
Okay, and first thing I want to say is Amaya. I believe the athlete you was talking about was Shakira Richardson, the one who ran track with the long nails. But one thing we do at our school for Black History Month is we actually do a Black History Month show. We've been doing one every year since I've been there. So we do a Black History Month show, and then like the Ireland said, I also do the morning announcements, but that's for a different program. We do Black History Month trivia questions and things like that. So we try to spread it around the Black History Month spirit throughout the month.
Awesome. Thanks, Paisan. Simone, London?
I'll go. So we have, I don't feel like we're doing enough personally. I don't feel like, because the things that you guys are saying, we don't really do that. And part of that might be because I'm not really at school, because I take college classes as well. So I only have like 3 classes at school, but I don't feel like my school is doing enough. The first day of Black History Month, they were talking about like Black trivia, but that's the only time I heard of it. And then like the rest of the month, I haven't heard anything else. And I'm in a history class called Ethnic Studies, and it's where we learn about like all ethnicities and all backgrounds. We're just now getting to Black history, but of course we had to start with slavery. So we watched a clip on Nat Turner. I think he's also the main character in Birth of a Nation.
Yes.
So we're learning about him right now, but I don't feel like my school is doing enough personally. So I've seen like some of my friends and fellow students like take it into their own hands. So we have like 2 African American based clubs at our school. There's Black Culture Club and there's Black Girls Prosper. So both of them like teamed up to make a Black themed Spirit Week for next week, because we have our senior dinner dance on Saturday. So this upcoming week is a Black history type of theme all this week. But besides that, I haven't really seen much. And then those clubs also took it upon themselves to like they have their own Instagrams and stuff. So they make like a Black spotlight for the students and like key figures in our history to like highlight things that our students have done for like our community and stuff, and then like the important people in history, so people can like learn a little bit more about our culture. But like administration, I don't feel like they've done enough for it. I feel like all the work that has been done has been from the kids.
Got it. Thanks, Simone, for sharing all of that. Yorlin?
This kind of goes with what Simone said. A lot of the things that we're doing at Western Hills wasn't implemented in the school before. Like last year, we weren't doing as much stuff as we did, as we are doing this year. I think it was pretty much student led as well, with the help of my government teacher and the principal, of course. But other than that, it just like everyone else said, it just talks about slavery and stuff. But to a certain extent, I feel like us as students, we have to take matters into our own hands, because then they won't see if we're serious or not. But if we decide to like be the change and step up, then they will see that we're serious. Like Simone said with the Instagram page, so many kids are like involved in social media, and a lot of kids probably don't listen to morning announcements, but they will see an Instagram page like they're doing at Simone's school, and that will impact them. So just like small things like that could help change our schools.
Definitely. Thanks, Yorlin. Yeah, it sounds like it's a lot of, you were talking, there are things that students either had to initiate initially or just come up with and lead completely on your own, which is really cool. But at the same time, it sounds like you'd like to see a little bit more of the administration also leading and supporting you in the process. So hear you on that. Before we keep going, I want is it Divine to introduce themselves really quickly, say hello. If you could just say your name, where you go to school, your year. And then our check-in question was, if you had a superpower, what would it be?
Hello, my name's Divine. I go to Aiken. I'm a freshman, and if I had to choose a superpower, it'd probably be time travel.
A lot of time travel today. Thanks, Divine. Thanks for checking in. So we just finished talking a little bit about, what Black History Month means to you, and right now we're talking about what your school is doing as it relates to Black History Month. So feel free to jump in. London, Amisha, do you all want to share? London?
Okay, so at the beginning, I didn't see a lot of Black history representation, so I took it to my principal with one of my friends, and so we've been, this month of February, we come up with a historical Black figure every morning, so they read them over the announcement. So each day we make a new slide so they can read. That's it. I wish it was more, but yeah, that's all.
Is anything happening in your classrooms or in your actual classes? Okay. Thanks, London. Yeah, so it sounds like some of it might be dependent on the class or the teacher or the school a little bit too. Dewan, I know you offered for me to come back to you, so I'm coming back to you. What's going on at Woodward? What's going on at your school?
Well, for us right now, our teacher, no, actually, one of our students decided that for the freshmen that we have to make a project on a famous Black history person, but like not like like Martin Luther King, not like all the simple ones, but like way back. Basically, just making a presentation, and we're going to introduce him maybe like I think Wednesday, I believe. But yes, that's what we're doing for Black History Month at our school.
Cool. That sounds interesting. Yeah. Definitely diving into unique characters outside of the ones that we constantly talk about is really important too. I know that came up a lot last year in our conversations with students. So we kind of started getting at this a little bit when we were talking about what's happening at your school right now, but in a perfect world, if you had all the money in the world and your principal and your teacher would do whatever you asked, what would you want them to be doing this month? What are some things that you wish they were implementing or programs that they started in order to support a better experience for Black History Month? Simone and then London.
This kind of goes like over like administration's head and kind of goes into like the Board of Education. But I feel like if like more history about like minorities, specifically Black people, were taught all throughout courses and not made optional. Like, for example, like my ethnic studies course is an elective course, but it's a full like semester, it's a full 2 semesters, but it wasn't at first, but it's still an elective and people get to choose whether or not they get to learn about this stuff. And I think that it's really necessary that people are like required to learn about these kind of things like for graduation. So I'd say doing that and like implementing a little bit of history here and there, not just in a history class, but like in an English class, a science class, a math class, I feel like it would go a long way.
Yeah, definitely makes sense, Simone. Thanks for sharing that. London, you had your hand raised.
I like Simone's idea, but I want to see like more murals around my school, like paintings and like pictures and stuff. And then in my freshman year, we had like Black nurses and doctors, entrepreneurs, hairstylists. They all like came into our school and talked about like how they got where they are right now, and even some struggles that they went to get to where they are now. And it was very like inspiring to see. And then like, so I wish they could come back again, or like even like a group of different people. And I think that was very helpful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that, London. I think I know during my time at Clark, they had the owner of Black Owned come one year and talk about his experience in starting a business. And I know people really, really enjoyed that. And everyone can benefit from hearing those stories too, right? So I love that idea. Anyone else, things you would like to see? There's no barriers here. No one's going to say no to you. So in a perfect world, what would you love to see? Divine? And then I'll go to...
I think one of the biggest problems at my school is like, not even just like non-black teachers, but like teachers in general. Every time that a student would do something, they would just immediately take it to or write them up for it or something like that. Or it could just be a little thing. And writing things and putting them on paper can easily build a case against students, which if they do something big, it would, it would make it easier to get them expelled or suspended or anything, you know what I mean. And it just makes it harder for, I guess, students.
Yeah, and you see that disproportionately impacting Black students. Divine?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and it sounds like something that could be interesting for a Black History Month then could be facilitating a conversation with teachers around how you guys are feeling about that or what's happening, or having a more open conversation around what discipline looks like and what actions they're taking. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Dewan, I know you raised your hand too. What would you want to see your school do for Black History Month?
I think that what we can do is maybe like, even though COVID was like a problem, but I think that we should probably like plan more field trips, more Black history museums, stuff like that, and maybe we can. It would be really nice if we can go to, I think it's Alabama, where the Underground Railroad track is at. I think it's Alabama.
So getting out and exploring and having more experiences outside of school as it relates to Black history. Yeah, very important. Anyone else want to share, some ideas that they have? Paisan?
So I would say if we had the limited funds in the world and something we would do with that money, I say it's kind of a tricky question because things like that you really have to think about everyone, but also not just cater to the kids who go through things. So I say the food, because one thing about Black history is our culture when it comes to us making food. So I say like during Black History Month we have Black history based food like hot macaroni and cheese and stuff is that like things that we can also enjoy and be like, well, grandma made this at home, so why not do it here? Things like that. So I use the funds for food.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Thanks, Paisan. It's kind of similar to what London brought up too, is thinking a little bit outside the box, right? So artwork, food and culture, what Dewan was talking about in experiences, creating more experiences too to celebrate Black culture is very important. Anyone else? Amaya?
Like outside of even Black History Month, I feel like we need more African American teachers, period. Because I feel like a lot of our teachers are Caucasian, and it's hard to connect with them when it's not really close to your culture. And yeah, I just feel like most of our African American teachers are like intervention specialists, and they're not like our base teachers. So it's like, how can you teach me about Black culture if you don't really know Black culture?
Yeah, that's important to bring up the importance of having Black teachers and Black staff that you can connect with and learn from and talk to. Incredibly important. Any other thoughts? Paisan, were you raising your hand? Okay. I wasn't sure if you were just
Hey,
itching your nose.
I'm sorry. I just want to say I agree with Amaya because we do have a significant amount of Caucasian teachers, and I love to see more history teachers, that is, Black art teachers that just teach any subject, period. Because especially just by we naturally feel comfortable by other people that look like us, and when we around other people that look like us, they can relate to what we say, how we speak, how we are. Because that's why I brought up the food thing, because it's hard for you to, like, when you come to a cookout and you see a certain person on a grill, it's really hard for, like, oh, should I trust that? So I most definitely do agree with having more African American teachers in the classrooms, because they can also relate to what's going on outside the classroom. So that's why I'm big on. I want to congratulate Amaya to that. I appreciate her bringing that up.
Well, thank you. Thank you for adding to that. And it's a really great point as it relates to just being able to connect with teachers in particular, because they have so much influence on you in the classroom. So thank you guys for sharing that. So we'll revisit a little bit of what you like about being a part of Speak Up, Speak Out, but I want to give an opportunity to just talk through and reflect on this piece that you all were sent by Zora Neale Hurston. So I have just a few questions, but feel free to share your thoughts and your opinions on the piece in general. But it is called How It Feels to Be Colored Me. And she's really talking about her recognition and experience of being Black, of recognizing that other people perceived her as Black. So I'd love to dive into that with you all a little bit more. The first part of the piece, she talks about the day that she became colored. And she really talks about it from the perspective of living in this all Black town. And then one day she realizes, oh, there are these white folks and they see me as Black and they treat me differently because of it. She also says that she feels most colored when I am thrown against a sharp white background. So she's kind of talking about being the only one. So I want to hear from you all, as she's talking about she feels the most colored when she's against a sharp white background. What do you think she means by that? And do you have experiences of feeling the same way, where you felt like you're the only one, or you've been made very aware of your Blackness because you're in an all white environment? Simone?
I think what she means by that is like being surrounded by like a bunch of white people, or like being in an area, like being in a profession where you might be the only Black person in your office, or like being on a team where you might be. I've been through like all of that. So before I transferred to CPS, I transferred my 7th grade year. I spent like 8 years in Lakota local schools. If you guys don't know what that is, it's basically like a suburban school district, and it's a majority white and like all white teachers, all white kids. So I'd be like maybe one of 3 in a classroom. So I have a lot of experience with that. And then like with people wanting to touch my hair, and then like just slick comments that kids make when you're little, and just about pointing out the difference between your skin tone and theirs. Like, I have this one instance I just remembered. When I was in the first grade, I had a best friend, and she was white. And this boy liked her, and there was like one other black kid in the grade. And he was like, you could go with him because he looks like you. And I was kind of like, what do you mean by that? Like, I don't even like him. Why would you say that? But I realized he was saying that because we were the only black kids, so of course we should date. Like, kind of stuff like that. I've just experienced that my entire life. And it's kind of sad. Like, it's really sad that there's still places where we're like just a minority still. Like, there's not a lot of people that look like us. And when you're in situations like that, it can feel like very lonely, especially as a child. Like, I experienced a lot of self-hate, and I didn't even really appreciate my blackness until 2 years ago, really. And I just always kind of felt alone in that, and I developed like a lot of like self-hate and towards myself and my race. I always wanted to straighten my hair and stuff like that to like assimilate with their culture, because I didn't have like an adult figure at my school showing me that it was okay to be who I was. So it can be like a very dark and lonely place if you don't have at least like one person like who's there to guide you in that space.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing all of that, Simone. And, as a young person, it's definitely normal to navigate through those types of things. So don't want you to feel alone in that at all. Anyone else have similar experiences or want to talk about what Zora Neale Hurston meant when she talked about feeling the most colored when she's thrown against a white background? Paisan and then Kiorland.
The way she put it is you have to think about it from really her perspective and from actually back then. It's like she was a black woman used to a black town, and then let's say she went out of town and she started realizing that it was people who didn't look like her. But then that wasn't even the worst part. They didn't like her just by the way she looked, and then they had to deal with things of like she probably had to deal with things of name calling and where she's from, who is she, and because the hate for you being black was real strong back then. And if I could relate to it, I have to say is when I go to the outer part of the city or I go to a certain mall that most people look like me don't go to, and they're watching and they're looking and then they're following me around in the store and things like that. And deep inside, that does hurt. But then you have to think about it like, if you're not doing nothing wrong, they really don't have nothing to accuse you of. And then that's when the skin color come into effect and they say you're kind and things like that. So it really hurts to think about it that we've been going through this for generations. Hopefully, like they say, we might be the change and we're the future. But I don't really believe that'd be a future if we can't embrace what's going on now.
Wow, that's really thoughtful. Thanks for sharing that, Paisan. Kiorland?
I can agree with what Simone said about going to a predominantly white school. Before I transferred to CPS, which was after I graduated my 8th grade year, I went to a Catholic school, which was predominantly white, of course, and it was a lot similar to what Simone said. It was maybe a few sprinkled of black children in each classroom. Almost all of the teachers were white, including like office staff and stuff like that. The only black people that you saw adult-wise were the janitors, which constantly reminded me of slavery in a way. But up until my 8th grade year, my freshman year in high school, I was introduced to Speak Up and Speak Out, and like it just everything ever since I've joined like the first meeting in here, everything has just like changed, and I feel comfortable with like embracing myself as who I am, and like I used to every summer I used to like cut my hair because I was like ashamed of like having long hair and of how Simone said everyone would want to touch your hair because you have an afro or whatever kind of hairstyle you wore. It was just the fear of expressing my culture in a way. But now that I've grown up and I've realized this is who I am and I'm glad to be who I am, I will continue to embrace it.
That brought a little tear to my eye, Carolyn. I love that. Love that for you. Thank you for sharing that. It's so important. And you guys are at such an important age to reflect on who you are and learn to love yourself. So I love hearing that story. Anyone else just want to share their experiences or anything related to that, Divine?
I also shared the same thing as Simone and Carolyn. Before I transferred to CPS, which I transferred in 7th grade, I also went to a white school. But actually what I wanted to say was that once I transferred to CPS, I felt like it was more of a difference. Like a lot of people would say like, oh, you're whitewashed. Oh, you talk white. You act white. Like you want to be white, even though it was just like me being myself. And it felt like I couldn't be myself around these people who looked like me. And that's what I want to say.
Yeah, that's really powerful. I have a question. One of my next questions is related to that. So we're going to come back to you, Divine. Kjorlin, before we come to you, I know, Dewan, you had your hand raised. So we'll go to Dewan, Kjorlin, and then I'll go to my next question.
Well, I think I have been at that point where I felt like I was the only black person because if I remember correctly, I was going to a store and it was like in a good neighborhood, like one of those mid-rich neighborhoods, and I always saw maybe like a lot of white people. But the only reason why I think they didn't what's the right word for this? I think like how I'm black and like, oh, you shouldn't be here was probably because the clothes I was wearing. Because I don't like to wear dresses and like stuff like that, like suits and ties. But anyway, that's not the point. So today's world, I think, to be honest, I think causing me to hanging with my grandpa friends, which are usually on white, I usually like learn from them, and I think how I reflect my words and actions to people, they reflect these most people and good person. But to be honest, I don't hate any race. Like at Woodward, you see black and white people like together having fun, and that's what I like about Woodward because there's no hate against race because like it's like a whole different type of mix. Like at Woodward, there's a lot of people being
Yeah,
together. But yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, thanks for sharing, Dewan. Kjorlin, you had your hand raised, and then we'll go to the next question.
You can go to the next question because mine was related to what your next question is.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to jump to the third question just because Divine brought it up, and I think it's an important one. In the latter part of the piece, Hurston says, at certain times, I have no race. I am me. And my question to you is, while celebrating your blackness is incredibly important, it's very important to celebrate and embrace your unique individuality. So I just want to hear a little bit more about that from you, especially Divine, as you were talking, saying, people maybe are saying, oh, you're whitewashed, but you're just being yourself. So how do you embrace both being black and being a part of the black community, but also understand that you're an individual and should express yourself as you so choose?
I feel like a lot of people say it, and I just take it as a joke. I always like laugh it off,
Yeah.
even though sometimes it gets underneath my skin, or they might like, okay, so I'm half Vietnamese and I'm half black. So they would say stuff, they would say, kind of racist stuff about the other side of me. And I would always take it as a joke. And at the end of the day, I'm gonna still do what I want to. I'm gonna still say what I want to. I'm gonna still talk how I want to, even if people, say what they want.
Absolutely. And you should, Divine. Kjorlin?
So for me, it's kind of like what she said. I just do the complete opposite of what they have stereotyped as the average African American person. So how they view black people is like ghetto and like just loud and obnoxious and stuff like that. But I just like kind of go with my own path, like with my grades and stuff like that. And like the way that I dress, I feel like that plays a big part in it as well. because they like to view black people as always like sagging or just they just like to view us in any negative way possible that will benefit them. And I just like to embrace my blackness. I just stay away from that and basically prove them wrong.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Carolyn. Paisan, I saw you raised your hand. And then Simone, is your hand raised? Okay. Paisan and then Simone.
Okay, I would say so far as like celebrating my blackness,
Hmm.
it's really I won't use the word celebrate because when you celebrate something, it's not as usual as anything else. So I say it's kind of like a lifestyle. Like I have to wake up every day with it. So it's like me being black, especially at my school. I'm most known for wearing my suits, but it's different from when people who don't look like me, white people who wear their suits. That's expected. Oh, excuse me, expected of them. Than when I do it. So when I do it, it's like, where you going? You got me in today? And it's just like, no, I feel like I look good in this, and why can I not wear the same thing I wear as anybody else? So
Yeah.
then, like another thing with the hair, like as you see today they're in puff balls, tomorrow they might be in the afro, and the next day they might be in braids. It's just depend on how I'm feeling, and with personally speaking, the experience I have with my hair, sometimes it's like when other people look like me, like why your hair not done? Why your hair da da da? But then when somebody who don't look like me, it's your hair looks so nice. Like what? It's an expectation from two different races, and then as being the race you are, it's like I get my hair done next week, or with the white people, oh I just decided to put it in puff balls today. It's
Hmm.
different expectations for different people. So when I have to wake up in the mirror and think about I gotta go to school, so I gotta look presentable, or this I do for today. It's really hard dealing with the social aspect of everybody else's opinion, and then it's even harder being a black teenage boy in a city where we had to protest and had to be in the streets and had to things like that. And then we are from a different generation, so it's like we're not in the streets with signs. We're on our phone using hashtags, posting, tagging, things like that. So
Hmm.
it can get real deep. And I don't want to take nobody
Yeah.
else's time, but it can get real deep when we use the word celebrate or embracing our blackness.
Hmm.
That's my perspective on the question.
Yeah, thank you, Paisan. Thank you for sharing all of that. And those are really thoughtful points as well. Simone, I know you had your hand raised. And then Amaya and Amisha, Amisha, you've been kind of quiet, so we're going to come to you two next. Simone?
Well, me, I've always been a person who's kind of like struggled with accepting who they were. So when I transferred, people used to say the same stuff about me. You talk white, you act white, this and this and this. And then like I kind of felt like I had to kind of be somebody that I wasn't. It's taken me like up until now to kind of embrace who I am and be that without caring what other people think of me. So ways that I like embrace my blackness is my hair. You see, I got some blonde in there. But I like to switch it up sometimes. And I think I also like express myself like with my excellence, if that makes sense. Like I try and be really successful in school. In school, I'm known for like having good grades, playing basketball, and all that kind of stuff. And I try and take like the negative connotations that people like use against black people, and I kind of am like living proof. I feel like I'm living proof that black people are excellent. Like I feel like I am black excellence. Like that's just how I carry myself now. So I express myself in that way, but it took me a very long time to get to the point where I was comfortable in my own skin and to stop letting people, whether they be black or white, influence how I thought of myself or how I carried myself. So it can be a lot because one minute you feel like you're trying to appease white people by talking a certain way or maybe switching the way that you act around them, but then you feel like you have to act a certain way with people that look like you so they don't make fun of you for being whitewashed or whatever it is that they say. But at the end of the day, it all doesn't really matter. And it's really confidence based, I feel. Like as long as you're comfortable in your own skin and comfortable with how you are. And it took me a long time to get to that point, but I feel like I'm finally there where it doesn't anybody can say anything to me. They can call me whitewashed or they can say whatever they want about me. It doesn't really bother me anymore. I feel that I am black excellence and I try to represent that every day within my actions, the way I look, the way I act, all of that.
I love that. Good for you, Simone. And I think that, I wrote down when Paisan was talking and saying, everyone else's expectations, everyone else's opinions, and the learning how to move away from everyone else's opinions and expectations and embrace yourself while being Black is such a powerful thing. So thank you both for sharing. I want to give our advisors an opportunity if they want to jump on video and talk to the students and maybe just respond, a couple of them, feel free to do that. But in the meantime, Amaya or Amisha, did you have anything that you all wanted to add to the conversation?
Well, I agree with Simone about being in your own skin, how you can be your own self, and doesn't really perspective on the color of your skin is what, of course, what other people think. But I feel like Zara, is that her name? Zara Neal? I feel like her, she's basically saying that no matter of the skin color of how she is, she still's her, and she embraced that in different way about her personality and her goals, and that she wants to accomplish them and move forward. And she doesn't see there for her skin, there to do what she has to do and to accomplish the state that she's in.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. Amaya, anything you want to add? And then Rachel, come back.
I agree with everybody else. I feel like the best way to embrace you is to be you. Do not change for anybody else. Just always be yourself and stay true to yourself. Don't like this. Why I hate like when you go to job interviews, they be like, you gotta dress nice so you can look like this. But why do I have to change who I am as a person just to get a job because of my skin color? So I just feel like you should always be yourself and never change for anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Amaya. I'll pause here. If there are any advisors that want to come on and just share their reflections on the conversation that they've heard the students have, just give you guys a couple minutes to share your thoughts with the students before we end with our final question. Rachel, did you want to share?
I guess I'll share. I really liked the conversation. I felt like it was really good. Everybody felt like it seemed like everybody was being themselves, like not a forced conversation. I think that's really what Speak Up, Speak Out is about. It's just about being yourself and feeling like you're able to have the voice that you want to have. So I really like the conversation. I can't wait for more of it.
Thank you. Mr. Bryson?
Hi, I just wanted to shout out everybody on this conversation. I'm just really inspired seeing you here speak live about something that's important to you, important to us. We're here to, of course, serve you, but this is, your environment and education starts with you. And we are just partners in making sure that you can be the leaders that you want to be and that you can be. So just thanks for being amazing. Thanks for being bold, and keep it up.
Thank you. Thanks for hopping on and talking to the students. Any other advisors want to jump on? I'll give you a second if you do. If not, we'll finish with our final question for today. All right, so our final question. Oh, we got a couple more folks jumping on. Go ahead. Just unmute yourself and share with the students.
Hey, I'm one of the advisors. I'm the advisor at Withrow, and I just want to say to all of the students that I really appreciate your transparency. I think that the contributions that you all have made to the conversation have been very valuable, and I think that a lot of people, the entire district, our entire city needs to hear the things that you all have to say.
Thank you.
I want to just echo what was just said about these students. I'm so proud of just from what I've heard. I'm so proud of you guys having the strength to share your experiences. I want to just really key on one thing. When one young lady just said that she wants to embody Black excellence. So powerful. I really enjoyed her saying that, and I also, of course, really want to just tip my cap and let Miss Turner Reed know how proud I am of her for speaking her truth
and opening that up so everybody else can kind of do the same. Talking about that struggle that we often have being Black in America, of assimilating with the culture here, as well as being yourself, which is a struggle that just all young people have, but definitely being young and Black in America is very challenging. So commend everyone that has spoken. So powerful.
Absolutely. Thank you. Josh or Mr. Harden, you have something you wanted to share, or
Sure.
is
Yeah.
this time to wrap it up?
No. You got it. You've done a phenomenal job. So I just wanted to hop on and say that you've done a phenomenal Nia and Cohere, but also just wanted to say the students, phenomenal. Every time we come on and have these live sessions, I feel like I'm writing down different things that you guys say and I take away, and it means so much to me. And when Nia was saying that she was starting to tear up over there when Kjorlin was talking about, speak up and speak out, building his confidence, and being able to come out here. I was behind the screen here with my video muted, doing the same thing, because this group does mean a lot to me and has meant a lot to the district, Cincinnati Public Schools, to be able to amplify your voices. And just really want to commend all of you guys and continue to tell you to not just do it here on these Facebook Lives and with this group that we have together, and not just with your Speak Up and Speak Out groups that you have at your respective schools, but just know that your voices are so strong, and make sure that you're amplifying those voices at all times. But I appreciate the opportunity to share and calling everybody else on. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for adding that to the group. So, young students, we've only got a few minutes left, so I'm not going to throw out another question because you guys are a great bunch, and I know we could keep going. So I just want to hear from you all as we wrap things up. What's your hope for the future? When you think about all the things that we've talked about, what do you want to see happen, whether with your friends, amongst your peers, or at school, that you feel like would really make a difference? Paisan?
Well, I could talk for a very long time, but I'm gonna make it short and simple. Something I like to see in the future from our African Americans is we shouldn't have an expectation, or we shouldn't downgrade ourselves to make other people feel comfortable, because we show love to everybody, every other race. It's like at my school, like I said, I go to Withrow High School. I'm a Tiger, so I'm big on showing Tiger pride. And actually being an African American student in a school that was once segregated, it's really hard to especially because we have a lot of older teachers who's there, and who, when, like I said, go back to the hair thing and the food thing. There's a lot of things that we can't control just being us. Like when we wake up, we just can't, slip gel in our hair, brush it. We got to be at the mirror for 15, 30 minutes. And then, like, with African American teachers, it's like they'll realize that, like, you running late. I took a minute in the bathroom. I had to get myself together. And they'd be like, okay, cool, understandable. When another teacher of another race would be like, you have an expectation to be here on time. We have to follow protocols and things like that. So that's why I really applaud who said we should have more African American teachers, because we really should have. And with Speak Up and Speak Out, it's really giving us a voice, a public voice, I should say, to let us know and let people know, like, this is how us young African American students feel. And just not young African American students, just us as being young African American teenagers, period, because it's really hard to deal with stuff. Hold on, I'm almost done. I'm sorry. It's really hard for us to embrace ourselves if nobody want to appreciate it, because I feel like Black excellence is us. We are the future. So that's why I love to see in the future. I'm sorry, Simone. I'm sorry.
Oh, it was good. It was all good. So we'll go to Simone, and then I know Kjorlin's going to close us out. So Simone and then Kjorlin.
Oh, you're cool, by the way. I liked everything that you were saying. But going off of that, I hope that Speak Up and Speak Out kind of gets like a little bigger. I feel like we were at our peak last year, and I feel like a lot of people were tuning in because we were like put on big stages, and like we were presenting to the Board of Education, we were on the news and that kind of thing. And then I feel like it kind of died down. So my hope is that all students, and like regardless of race, feel like they can join, because I feel like a lot of people think that this is just something for only like Black kids exclusive, and that may be what it seems like since we're the only ones participating. But I want people from like other ethnic groups and other minority groups to join and share their experiences as well, and not just make it like not just make it a thing where it's like kind of segregated. I want everybody's opinion like to be heard, and I hope that this program continues and maybe even blossoms into something bigger in the future. But I hope that it like continues when I graduate, and I just want to see it just grow and just keep turning into something beautiful.
Thank you. So I want to say thanks to everyone that joined today. I wish we had more time to keep going, but hopefully we'll be able to host another one of these live sessions in the future before the end of the school year. So appreciate you all. If we could just cut off our cameras, mute our mics, and we'll have Kiorlin kind of end our session for today.
Day to listen to our experiences. We give a special thanks to our guests, organizers, and co-hear, Ms. Nia Balke. We hope that everyone will continue to follow us with the series in the future. We are grateful that we had the opportunity to pave the way towards Black excellence. We appreciate the love and dedication from all of our members. We hope to see you all soon. Thank you.